Hello and welcome to In the Court of the Wenton Knave. We're doing all these King Crimson albums, I think it's going to be 86 episodes in the end. We're going through the 71-72 band, who I think are wonderful. There's a lot of CDs by them. I think there's more CDs by that lineup than any other lineup actually. Possibly. Don't quote me on that. And we've got to Detroit. So they've gone to America. This is the first American tour, still in 71, so December the 13th, 71. The sound quality is really good. Not amazing obviously, but it's really good, and it's not like the horrible Earthbound era stuff. It's not that different, but it doesn't distort. So it means it's much clearer sound, so I don't quite get why this exists. It's not clear, but there you are. I mean, obviously, I'm sure if they'd had this in 1972 when they had to make a live album, he should have just released this, because it's great. But yeah, apparently now the atmosphere is now polar opposite of before the album recording, or shortly after the album recording, and Fripp did a moody, as he does, stop talking to people. But you know, I mean, you think about what they've been through to get. This is 2 years later, or well, actually, it's almost 3 years since the band started. There's a lot of difficulties. They've been through a lot to get here, to actually get an album out, their fourth album, finally to go on tour with a stable lineup. It's all happening. That must really have taken its toll. All of that, they get there. That's hard for creative people are sensitive. You know, people forget this. That you know, if you're very creative, you're going to be very sensitive emotionally, and that's going to get you a reputation as being grumpy or whatever. And maybe Fripp realised that this is the wrong crim. Maybe he realised he'd compromised to get here, and got really the wrong musicians. They're a fantastic band and they can really play. Maybe he felt it wasn't really the right King Crimson. They're not as good as the '69 band ultimately. You know, as much as I really like it. You know, you've got the situation with the audience, which I'm going to talk about in a bit, because there's a great example of it on here. I think there is a quote saying he'd lost faith in the band but not in King Crimson. We're lucky to have these recordings at all, because this is an alternate Crim, in the way we didn't have the second phase of the first band. You know, In the Wake, McDonald and Giles is together is an imaginary thing. You know, we actually have this as an alternate Crim before they took off into the stratosphere. We've got this as well, and not only have we got this as well, but there is a ton of recordings of them, so it's wonderful, utterly wonderful. And they got a very, very unfair rap for many, many years. There was only Earthbound for years, right the way until Collectors Club number 2 in like 1999, 98, and now there's like 10 of them. 11 is it? I think 11 live albums by this band. But the bad vibes didn't seem to immediately come, because obviously last week we talked about the Brighton show, which I think was done after they'd done the album, and they seemed perfectly happy, but maybe they were still working on the album, and I don't know. Bear in mind, you know, Boz didn't like all the music. He called the light stuff fairy music, so things like Formentera Lady and Lady of the Dancing Water and Cadence and Cascade. Not his thing. He's a dirty bluesy, you know, he sings scat and jazz and he does all that stuff, and obviously ended up in bad company. Peter Sinfield didn't like touring, but for some reason was touring and probably shouldn't have been touring. I'd rather he hadn't, to be honest, because then we wouldn't have the VCS ruining all the recordings. The Fripp-Sinfield relationship was coming to an end. I think that after the original band split up, they negotiated a 60-40, so Fripp 60, Sinfield 40 split. Okay, you know. But Sinfield disagreed, and he negotiated that he wanted 50%. He thought he deserved 50%. I think that's absurd, to give Peter Sinfield 50%. And that caused all sorts of resentment. So I think Fripp acknowledges now that caused resentment, that he didn't agree with that. I think most people would not agree with that. But he went along with it for the sake of making things easier, which was a mistake. The stupid VCS noises must have been annoying. Sinfield complains of Fripp's guitar playing, which is great actually, but he did get better, definitely. By the Wenton era, his playing is much more controlled. I think it took a lot to get to there. That's the impression I get. The question is who defines King Crimson, and maybe Peter Sinfield's King Crimson is a different thing altogether. That what we call King Crimson now, obviously, is an amalgamation of all these things that happened. And then it was less clear what it was. And obviously Peter Sinfield believed in this sort of Miles Davis kind of direction, which is really good, but never as good as where they went. This is very early on. I think they did a couple of dates in Canada, and then they got down to Detroit. I think Wallace says in the liner notes, I think he says this is before the rot set in and the music changed, is what he says. So this is more King Crimson than what it became, but it does mean that they're not quite there yet in what this great groovy band sound like. But I really like that because it's different, you know, because we've got other Crims as well. But yeah, some of the audience members spend the show shouting out for the old songs. You're not playing in the court of the Crimson King, etc. Except, now this is a a common thing now with bands that have been playing for many years, and they're playing new songs, or they're playing a song from '85 instead of a song from '75. And I don't want to hear that. I want to hear I want to hear Roundabout and nothing else, But it's only 1971. The only things they're playing are the new album, Cirkus, Lady of the Dancing Water, 69 band stuff. So if they're shouting for 69 band stuff, they're playing the new album and 69 band stuff pretty much. So what are they moaning about? It's like they'll do it anyway. People like that will just moan about it anyway. If they actually played the same songs, they'll still moan about it. It's not a mentality I understand, but I've seen it. I've been to concerts where people have been shouting stuff out and walking in and out as well. I just don't, the concert starts and they get up and go out and get a drink. And why are they even there? And Fripp has to actually interject at one point because he's trying to do an announcement and they're going, in the court of the king. Because at this point, obviously, it was a new thing. It's like, well, hang about, we're supposed to be playing new stuff. What's the point? It's bad. Touring will make you crazy, as someone once said. But the band had the last laugh on this one, which I'll talk about in a bit. It is a killer show, I have to say. In terms of the balance of sound quality and everything, this is one of the real fantastic ones. There's another one with really good sound as well coming up, but this is just fantastic. Although they're not quite on their own thing yet, it's still fantastic. Okay, so they open with Pictures of a City, as they should, obviously. I think they've now established their own version, and there's a lot of playfulness going on there, and fun interaction where the call and response things going on. Formentera Lady and Sailor's Tale, definitive. I think this is it. Those two there, in terms of sound quality and everything on balance, those two are the ones I would put on the compilation, if I was making the compilation. The sound is great. Obviously we've still got the stupid waves sound, but it's much less. It's not so like it was in Brighton where you've got track 4, Cirkus again. I think this is probably definitive as well. They've really got good at playing this song. It's so much better than the album version by now. It's so heavy and they play it so slowly. I'd love better quality recording this where you could hear the drums, maybe isolated drum tracks, things like that. But it's just fantastic. Ladies of the Road tends to be the same now. Once they've done the album, it was established, an arrangement was established, and that's the way they played it, but pretty much, and that was it. Track 6 is Groon. There's a tape change which spoils it, but who cares? It's a drum solo. It's the first bit everyone wants to hear, really, isn't it? And we've still got all the stupid VCS noises to make everyone press stop. Disc 2, 21st Century Schizoid Man. Strangely not the best version. It's strangely short. Maybe something happened or there was a technical glitch or something which meant it's not quite as energetic as some of the others. Maybe it's just me, and it seems very short. So, and track 2, this is the last one we own of Mars. Of all the CDs, this is the last Mars. I'm actually fed up of hearing it. Yeah, it's like by now I've got to sit through it. And they're doing everything right. It just isn't there. The magic isn't there for Mars. It's not their song for this band. Track 3, In the Court of the Crimson King. Obviously, now technically this is the last time we hear this song, but of course all the shouting, Fripp had to respond. They're shouting out the songs and everything. So they thought, okay then, this is the blues version of In the Court of the Crimson King, as in da 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 da. The dusty trains of prison moons, da 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 da, which is I think is really funny. I really like. I'm all for that bit of humour in there. A thing about this particular lineup is how they introduce the humour. The humour's always been there. 69 band humour wasn't quite as good, and I think that humour did stay in the band subsequently. I think maybe a bit less in the Wenton era, which was very serious, and I'm all for it. Apparently, Ian MacDonald heard that they'd done this, and he was genuinely annoyed, which is in itself quite funny. But then they close the show with Lady of the Dancing Water. Sadly it's only a fragment. Great show. I mean, you take out Mars, put something else in, swap Schizoid Man for another Schizoid Man, and you pretty much got the one you want. That's the one. So brilliant. Right, we'll see you next week in 1972, and things have changed. See you then, Jacksonville.